few years ago, this particular individual, was thoroughly against the British monarchy. In fact, he was caught on camera speaking about that. It's funny though, isn't it, how history, time, whatever you want to call it, moves on, because literally today he met our reigning monarch, King Charles III, that's right, because he became Sir Keir Starmer and then of course became our new British Prime Minister. Now the thorny meeting literally took place at Buckingham Palace today, and it's an interesting thing because it's a constitutional role as well, part of the monarch's duty, and it's fascinating to see exactly what happens, the way that one person comes in and one person goes out. Now, as you know, our late and wonderful monarch, Queen Elizabeth II, had 15 prime ministers, and apparently out of all of them there was just really one that she didn't get on with. Now, contrary to popular belief, that wasn't of course the Right Honourable Margaret Thatcher. No, they did get on, and if you think about it, everybody says, oh no they didn't. They must have done, because she did turn up at Margaret Thatcher's birthday party in Claridge's, so clearly she had some pulling power, Margaret Thatcher. They may have clashed, but eventually, like all women, eventually they saw the light and then became powerful against, well, shall we say, forces around them. Yes, we won't say men, right? But what's interesting today is that, as I say, Sir Keir Starmer, who was very against the British monarchy, had to meet the person that apparently he wasn't too keen on. So how did it go? Let me explain. Morning, lovely to see you today. Thank you so much for your time as ever. A big day over here because, you know, quite frankly, 14 years of the Conservative Party, and now we have the Labour Party as a brand new government, and of course a brand new Prime Minister in Sir Keir Starmer. And what happens, you know, is fascinating, I find, is the way it's become more presidential. You know, years ago, one person went in, one person went out. It was really the advent of Margaret Thatcher that created the media around this particular event. Before that, really, you resigned and the next person moved in. Now it's a literal circus, as one can imagine. So what happened? Head of state, it's the King's duty to appoint the Prime Minister, who leads His Majesty's government. It is a moment that underlines the right to govern the United Kingdom and is still derived from royal authority, despite political power being transferred to elected members of Parliament centuries ago. The process for the departing Prime Minister, Rishi Sunak, is rather swift. Traditionally, news helicopters followed Starmer and Sunak's cars to the palace and then back to number 10. The day started like this. At 10:30 a.m, the outgoing British Prime Minister, Rishi Sunak, headed to Buckingham Palace, where he tendered his resignation to the King. 11:30 to 12 p.m, once Mr Sunak had departed, the Labour leader Keir Starmer would arrive for his first audience with King Charles. This ceremony is known as the kissing of hands, though no kissing actually occurs, and is just traditionally a handshake. After the King asks Keir Starmer to form a government, he will bow and shake Charles's hand, and power will be transferred. What's interesting here is that people don't realise there's many people go into power, and there's all the great wave of waving and popularity and all that sort of stuff. Very quickly it takes a turn for the worst. And as of course our late monarch famously said, it's more about a caretaking role, making sure you can offer some advice to those that are actually new to power, which is literally everyone so far. Now when you think about it, you know, the King's not doing badly for meeting brand new Prime Ministers. And this apparently was a very difficult meeting for Keir Starmer, because he was very well aware of the situation that had been passed to the King himself about his previous comments. Of course, 10 years ago, he became Sir Keir Starmer, very much a titled person, and of course his wife, Lady Victoria. But they don't want to be known by that literally in the public domain, because they don't want to feel that people will feel that they're unrelatable. For now, it seems to have got off to a rather pleasant start, but let's see as ever how this pans out. Of course, one has to remember that His Majesty the King has many years, well, shall we say, of sage advice to offer, and more importantly trained by the best, his late mother Queen Elizabeth. So Keir, let's see how you fare. Neil Sean in the very heart of London.